serious setup. I feel like अभी कुछ बहुत important board meeting decisions होने वाले हैं कबीर सिंह के बारे में, which is releasing in 4 days. There's nothing we can do now. But so it's awesome to be here, and yeah, Hyderabad will be fun. Pune will be fun, and release से 4 दिन पहले इंसान अपनी publicity के लिए कुछ भी करने के लिए तैयार होता है. ये हम लोग prove करके रहेंगे. कुछ याद ही नहीं है, सब फ्यूज हो गया है सब कुछ. You know, when you are so close to the release of a film, between the anxiety and the nervousness of how people are going to react to it and what people are going to feel, and between the non-stop schedule that you have of going from A to B to C to promote, the good thing is that you become now. और से देखिए इस बंदे को, ये बिल्कुल हमारे इंटरव्यू में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है. देख जो संदीप ने किया मैं फिर कर सकता हूँ. तू सवाल पूछा उसके बाद मेरे को देखता नहीं है. I'm giving an answer, not look at me. That was epic, bro. That's gone down like thug life videos, like, you know. Yeah, I'm very jealous of him. I wish I also had like a really cool thug life video, like give some hard answers. You've not seen this? This happened at the press conference. Where were you?
Have you all seen Shahid's Insta story today? Please, somebody go. Who has Instagram? Okay, great. Go on Shahid Kapoor and see his Insta story. Nayandeep, right here. Come on. Open Insta story. Can you do this for us live?
ये चल रहा है. ये यार दो.
Please show this to everyone. Everybody is so good. It's Kabir has arrived.
Yeah, I was getting very jealous of all the glamour that Kiara was bringing on the table, so I decided that I need to add some of mine. And this is actually matching. This is matching Kiara's lip color today. Kiara, would you like to show that?
Sorry. So obsessed.
Thanks so much coming from such handsome women. Thank you so much. अभी माइक आ रहा है, तो ये सब क्या म्यूट पे था भाई? आ रहा है, Zoom का माइक आ रहा है, E24 का माइक आ रहा है. To all the viewers of Zoom and E24, this is Shahid Kapoor and this is
Kiara Advani.
Thanks for being here. In Pune, we have to make this entertaining, guys. This has to be a chill, entertaining sesh. वहाँ पे खाने में क्या क्या पहले बताओ? क्या क्या खाया तुम लोगों ने? इन्हें माइक दिया जाए. आलू टिक्की फॉर मी मतलब तूने खाया और मुझे मेरा पेट भर जाएगा. अच्छा, तो यू हैड दैट जस्ट फॉर मी. तो कितनी चीजें करता है मेरे लिए. आलू टिक्की चाट इज वेरी गुड. उसको चाट लिया. चिकन टिक्का एंड टी केक. बड़े सारे ऑप्शंस हैं. हमें कुछ नहीं मिला, हमने दूध ही खाई. While we are having this very important conversation, mine and Kiara's teams, okay, a big round of applause for our teams, first of all, guys. Mine and Kiara's teams are hogging the banquet, because they're like, if I may, that shit, I've been working for the last 10 days and I haven't slept, I'm gonna eat some good shit. And they're still not solved. Parvez, bro, मेरे लिए भी दबा ले जाओ, bro. माही हंस रहा है. हाय मेरे लाल पीले काले नीले. Mahi, guys, who is an assistant to my makeup artist James, has an amazing ability. You know, he can stand in one place and sleep. So yeah, so he can be holding the mirror like this, and he can be snoring. Mahi, थोड़ा left hand कर. हाँ sir. Mahi, मैं तेरे पीछे हूँ. Oh sorry sir. So yeah, that's the amazing one and only Mahi. We love you, Mahi. But give them a mic, no? नहीं तो they all have to become Kabir Singh, stand on the table and shout loudly.
Absolutely. I think he's the kind of lover who will do anything for his girl, and he's the kind of lover every girl eventually would want. You know, who's head over heels and who's protective, and I think that's why Preeti falls in love with him.
Or you can remove the Piratian part and just stick to the first three letters. That could also apply to a certain phase of Kabir. समझ में आया नहीं समझ में आया? हाँ, he could be one sometimes. Aspirational में से Pirational निकाल दो.
But tell me, for you, because you've played this character, you've lived this character, what are the qualities of Kabir as a lover that you feel most connected to?
Loyalty.
Yeah, he's just like a nice, cute puppy. Very loyal. Women like that, don't they? Loyal puppies. No, I think Kabir is a very flawed character. But the reason you can make a film about him is because he's a very real character and he loves very purely. And the best thing about the character is that he's a combination of aggression and vulnerability. And those are two completely opposite kind of emotions, but he draws that kind of reaction out of you, which makes him very unique, and that's what was very appealing to me. I think he can be very extreme as a lover, and that's the part that can be damaging for people. But he also loves very purely, and he can dedicate himself to somebody else, and I think that's a very rare quality in people, especially these days. You don't find it so often, and I think that's aspirational. But the way he deals with certain things, I would definitely not suggest, and I would say Kabir Singh is quite hanikarak for your sehat. So, but films are about showcasing reality and showing all phases of a human being's life. I mean, if you don't see black, how do you know the difference between white and black? You have to show black for white to stand out. So, Kabir is like that, like all of us.
Just on that note itself, because you mentioned how we need to show all shades of a character of a human because we all are flawed. So, what do you feel when we are making films? The gaze at which we are looking, the way we are looking at characters from a director or a writer point of view, it's important to also criticize them or critique them while showing them how they are.
That's your job, no? If I start critiquing my own character, I won't be able to be him.
You are
So,
the actor.
yeah, my role is to represent him honestly and to play him for how he is. And it's for you to decide which part of him you liked, which part of him you didn't like. Because see, good and bad is a part of life. But what's most important is the intent. We all make mistakes. I mean, when I speak to my friends or I speak to my family, it's not about what you did. We all make mistakes, we all behave badly. But if the intent behind that is to hurt someone deliberately or to do something negative, then that's not something that one can appreciate. But if it's coming from a good place, but you're behaving badly, which also happens, so the intent is most important for me when I view a character. And I think Kabir has very pure intent. But because he's flawed, he behaves in different ways. And that's why he's a character that probably is worth watching on the big screen, because he has the ability to surprise you. And he has the ability to, make impact because of the way that he is. At least that's how I saw it. See, the thing with love is that sometimes it takes you many years to figure out why you love somebody. It just happens. It's an organic thing, it's a natural thing. Sometimes even before you connect with somebody or spend time with them, you already start loving them. That's the funniest and the most impractical but real thing about love. So when it comes to love stories, I don't really look for logic. I look for magic. If you feel like it was magical, if you feel like it made you feel romantic, it made you remember those moments when your heart was full of feelings, and so I think it's about bringing that kind of that mood in the audience, and I felt that this film had that energy because of just how raw and real it was. Having said that, I've always said that Kabir is the more, everybody's been saying Shahid ka strong character hai, Kiara ji aapka thoda subtle character hai, to aapko kaisa laga? I really feel Preeti is a much stronger character in the film. Kabir is actually the weaker character, because people who are stronger are less reactive and people who are weaker are actually more reactive. And Kabir is not responding. See, there's a big difference between response and reaction. When you respond, you've thought it through and then you respond. When you react, it's just an immediate reaction. And Kabir is very reactive. So to me, Kabir is the vulnerable, flawed guy deep inside who looks very aggressive on the outside. And Kiara is the much stronger, much more stable character on the inside who looks more vulnerable on the outside. And to me, that's actually the coolest part about this film and how the characters have been interpreted. And so she is the stability in Kabir's life. Preeti is the stability in Kabir's life.
Question or anything else? Alright, so this one's for the both of you again. You know, there are certain things that you can't do in real life, right? But when you are playing a character, you get the liberty to do it. So ऐसा कभी होता है कि बड़ा excited होता है इस चीज़ को करने के लिए, किसी को धोना है, पीटना है, कुछ करना है. बताओ, that's really informal है.
भाई रियल में तो मैं किसी को मार ही नहीं रहा हूँ. तो मारने का रियल सेटिस्फैक्शन तो तब होता है ना जब सामने वाले को लगती है, और तब होता है जब आप किसी को मारना चाहते हो और उसको मार पड़ती है. तो यहाँ पे तो आप कट के बाद पहले पूछ रहे हो तो ब्रो आई ओके, और यू नो शुड आई बी अ लिटिल यू नो 2 inches to the left or 2 inches to the right, and you know you can be doing it as well as you can, but if the reaction is not coming well from the samne wala is not coming correctly, you know the moment doesn't come alive. So it's actually action in films is actually like it's like ballet, it's like choreography. You know you have to do it in partnership with the person that you're doing it with. So it's actually a very collaborative thing when you're doing those kind of things on camera. It's an art, you know, so you have to do it as a team. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि बड़ा मुझे मज़ा आया और उसको बुरा लगा, ऐसा नहीं है. We are creating a moment together. So उसमें उस तरह की feelings नहीं होती. वो लगता है वैसे, that's our job, but while doing it, it's a technical job.
Not yet. I mean, of course, not in this film. But I hope all of that happens. But I'm going to just divert a bit, and I want to add something to his question. When you asked him, what is it that Kabir loves in Preeti or likes in her? And I remember asking my director the same question. I said, but why does Kabir, you know, why is it that one moment that, like, what is it in her? What is so special about her? She's a simple girl, and what is it? There's nothing. So he said, think about it. Think about every time you've been in love. What is it? Have you ever had that defining moment where when you've seen someone say, I feel like talking to her, I feel like messaging her today or him today, or initially when you start off, it's never like that. There's not something that we do that that makes you want to talk to the person. Like he said, it's that magic. And in real life, it's easy to create it, and on screen, and sometimes it's tricky, you know. It's like, how do you know? How do you know it's going to happen? And I think, but that was the beauty of this particular story, because otherwise you always see films and you say, अच्छा लड़की ने बच्चों को बचाया, and suddenly the boy sees it and she's fallen in love, and you're always trying to make a reason for it. But there's no real reason. You can never define that moment when, what is it in a person that, you know, attracts you to. Yes, eventually then you like falling in love with a person. It may take a month, a few days, who knows, maybe first sight. But that initial thing that draws you to a person, you can never define that moment. And I felt things like this, which was so unspoken, was just so magical to see in Hindi, you know, an Indian film. So yeah, I just want to add that. Back to you. नहीं यार, कुछ नहीं होता. We'll come there. Next few films.
That's what a brilliant actor does. एकदम यहाँ पे serious जवाब आने के बाद back to you. नहीं यार, कुछ नहीं होता. Flip मारना एकदम. You know, शायद last time also when we met, I told you कि हमेशा आपकी फिल्म में वो चुल वाला गाना रहता है. This time did you miss it? Like होता है ना, जिसको कहते हैं, होता है ना.
भाई चुल वाला गाना क्या हो गया?
होता है. You agree, right? कि must take them downstairs, this, that. That's what everybody is saying.
कौन सा गाना? हाँ.
उधर में दूसरे लोग कर रहे थे. बाकी लोग कर रहे थे. छोड़ो, let's not talk about it. Yes.
तेरा सवाल क्या भाई?
छोड़ दो, क्या आपने कर लिया. Alright, any more questions?
He's losing, not being able to come up with questions. इतने दूर आए हो 4 घंटे, कुछ पूछ लो यार.
मेरे से आगे चुरा रहे हो, जिसको देख रहा हूँ एकदम ऐसे हो जाना, मेरे को नहीं देखना.
You just eaten, they're all lazy. It's that snooze time. Of course. So on one hand, I think there was a time when we only used to focus on love stories. So if you compare it in relative terms, yeah, there are very few love stories happening today. The good thing about that is that good stories are being told today, and they don't have to be love stories to be, you know, यूनिवर्सल और ओवरसीज में भी चल जाएगी और यंग यूथ ऑडियंस आ जाएगी and all that stuff that you used to hear. Thank God that time is gone where we are obsessed with love stories and we can't think beyond love stories.
You were the face of it.
I mean, I have gone through a phase where a few of them have really done well. But I was always trying to break out with the Kamines and the Heathers, and I was always trying to break out, because I was actually really not that excited about love stories. Because I just felt like कि love story के चक्कर में 5-6 गाने आ जाते हैं, 2-3 माउंटेन आ जाते हैं, एक स्विस एल्प्स का एक राउंड हो जाता है और उसमें से 50 में से एक अच्छी होती है, बाकी 49 are a disappointment. You'd rather take that money and put it in another story which deserves to be told. Why are we so obsessed with just this one genre, And it's very unhealthy for any genre when people start making too many of those. Because then people get sick of the genre. It's not the fault of the genre, it's actually the fault of the crappy films that are coming out, which are putting you off about the genre, So on one hand, I think it's really healthy that today we are making films of all types and of all genres, because of which today you are asking this question, it's so refreshing after such a long time, a love story. So there's something refreshing about the genre, it's always good that happens. Having said that, I think also sometimes, we make this mistake of, like when we also saw Titanic. Remember how you felt when you saw Titanic? So love is timeless. We should not start assuming and start sending this message out in society कि आजकल तो प्यार होता ही नहीं है, प्यार बड़ा फास्ट होता है, प्यार बड़ा फ्रिवलेस होता है, तो फ्रिवलेस सी एक फिल्म बना लो, कोई मीनिंग वाली फिल्म मत बनाओ, उसके अंदर कुछ इमोशन मत डालो, कुछ इंटेंसिटी मत डालो, कुछ ड्रामा मत डालो. Love is only fluffy, so let's make stupid fluffy films about love. That's a mindset which we're in right now. That is not unhealthy. I think a love story must be substantial. And I think our favorite love stories over time have been very substantial in their content. The drama has been substantial, the relationships have been substantial, the characters have been memorable, well written, well executed, taken you through the entire array of emotions where you feel happy when they meet for the first time, then you get nostalgic कि मेरे साथ भी ऐसा हुआ था, then you get worried what's going to happen with these characters, and then hopefully you walk out with a smile on your face. So some tragedies also have done very well. So I think love stories are a very elite kind of genre and should not be attempted too much. Only people who are qualified and have something worthy of sharing should attempt love stories.
I mean, every Bollywood, anyone who aspires to be a Hindi film heroine wants that. I did a film called Machine, which was a bit like that. None of you all saw it, but it was a bit like that, and I really personally enjoyed it. And I mean, the experience. But I feel this is something that I could connect to much more. It's very difficult to even do something like that. I think it takes a lot. It takes a lot of conviction to make that ideal love story. And I think the beauty of a love story which is so real is that in 2019 we can all connect to that, and it's still timeless, it's still so passionate, but at the same time, because it's so flawed, it seems more real and more relatable. So I would say this is my dream love story that I would have wanted to be a part of, and I'm lucky and glad and blessed that they came to me with this opportunity.
I have a question.
Of course you do. You have been waiting for this.
If anybody ever wanted an example of paraphrasing, that was it. Because that's not what I said, bro. I never said you cannot put love stories into a genre. See, I think films are a reflection of life, films are a reflection of society, films are a reflection of the state of mind of the Aam Aadmi, right? So I think in the 80s and 90s, India was a developing nation. It had not developed and it had not reached its potential. I think today we are one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and the middle class today has the spending power. Sorry, I'm digressing, I'll come to your point. So the newer theatres, the wider theatres are going into the tier 2, tier 3 cities. So the composition of the audience has changed in the last 20 years, which means that the kind of content that they want, the percentages of that has got divided. In the 80s and 90s, we used to want to see abroad. We didn't have the money to go abroad, so we wanted to see a movie in which they take you abroad and you can experience that. Today, that's not a problem. You can travel, you can go to places, it's much easier for you. There's Instagram, there's Facebook, you know what's happening everywhere in the world. So the fact that we are making real films today is because I think we moved out of that phase of wanting to experience things that we don't have the money or the means to achieve. Therefore, aspirational love stories, therefore characters who are perfect, because we wanted to view movies as something that यार जो आम जिंदगी में नहीं होता ना वो हमको देखने को मिल जाएगा. It was like, you know, like how kids go to a candy store, wow, this is so nice. But I think today we're in a place where we take ourselves seriously, and the audience has enough exposure. They don't need movies to give them experiences that they can't have personally. So they want movies to talk about things that matter to them. I also think the audience today is a lot more evolved than they were 25 years back, and therefore they want to be taken seriously. So I think you need to take the audience today very seriously. You can't. There was a time when you used to say, you know, ऐसा करो तो audience को अच्छा लग जाएगा, वैसा करो तो audience को अच्छा लग जाएगा. Nobody should say that anymore. You should just make something honest and hope that people will appreciate the effort that you've made. And yeah, so I think people are much more intelligent, much more into real things and reality. There was a time when actors used to be inaccessible. Right? So बहुत लंबा स्पीच ले रहा हूँ, मैं रोक देना, मैं ज़्यादा बोल रहा हूँ. ये लाइव नहीं है ना, तो एडिट कर दोगे तुम, ठीक है? See, what was I saying? Yeah, there was a time when actors were very inaccessible. So you actually didn't know what's happening in an actor's life. Like right now, there are 37 cameras on me, and even if I scratch my bum, they can get that footage. So you can't fool the world that you are this perfect person who lives in this dream world, in this bungalow beyond these gates which you can never cross, and your skin color is this color of strawberries. You can't fool people about that anymore. So if you see, even actors have recognized that. You know, we're coming out and being ourselves and being real, because we have to adjust to how things are. So people want to see real stuff today, because you know that's just how life is, and that's why you see characters who are real. That's why you see characters who are flawed. You know, there is social stigma. So many people have come out speaking about depression. So many people have come out speaking about those kind of things, because nobody used to talk about those issues. Because everybody's only saying good things. ये बातें होनी चाहिए. But what about people who have issues? We all have issues. You know, why do you need to feel like you're a social outcast if you're going through a difficult phase? You should be able to talk about it. You know, so I think people are in that mood that let's talk about things. Let's be real. Wow, 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 wow.
That's all we have for you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll head towards season's wall. वहाँ जाके आग लगाएंगे. And Shahid's gonna be there. Kiara's gonna be there. And we'll have the entire music crew of this movie. कंपनी में इसके बोलना क्योंकि ये इस जनरल मीटिंग अभी जनरल बॉडी का मीटिंग खत्म हो गया है. इसको देख के तो लग रहा है पिक्चर से बड़ी तरह की. So जोरदार तालियां for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, for the amazing actors who are here. We're gonna see you tomorrow at season.
Thank you guys. Looking forward to seeing you all.